morning and welcome to Sunday Live discussion session where we invite authors to have a candid heart-to-heart discussion about their books and their literary journey with me, Anthra. Today our special guest is Shrutidhara P. Mohar. She is a political science teacher and she is also a published author of six books, six novellas. And today, out of these six books, we are going to talk about one particular book that she has published. It's titled 23 Summers. Set amidst the backdrop of politically war-trodden Kashmir, 23 Summers is this story of is this same-sex love story of two boys, Farooq and Sudarshan, who meet during their college life. They meet in their college and eventually fall in love, and gradually they fall apart. Their relationship falls apart, mostly because of Farooq's religious beliefs. After 23 years, fate makes both these boys, both these men, grown-up men, come together, and then they are trying to give it another shot, give their relationship another shot. But then what they realize is that it's not just Farooq's religious prohibitions or religious beliefs which is drawing them apart, but then the fact that they are two very different characters with very different beliefs to begin with. So now this is the crux of the story, and what happens next is what you need to purchase the book and figure out what happens next. But then I really hope that I have been able to narrate this intricate story in these many few words. I'm sure there are many things that I have missed out, and there are many things that goes into this story. So without wasting further time, let me send Shrutidhara, the author, a request so that she joins me, and then we continue the discussion together. So just a moment, I'm sending Shrutidhara a request to talk about her book, 23 Summers. So we are waiting for Shrutidhara to join me.
Hello.
Yay! Hi! Two women in red. High five.
Yes, exactly. That's what I discovered. And I think it's a collective relief and celebration for everyone because my technical incompetence is known worldwide. So I think, like everyone is relieved that I've been able to make it properly, in good shape, in one piece to the live show. So I
And you
congratulate
did it
myself.
so good. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
It's
You're not being
another feather
truthful.
to yours.
Thank you.
No, absolutely. You don't know about me, like how many days it might have taken me to figure out how to do it.
You don't show that
And
anymore, so that's all right.
so,
Yes, actually, you
thank
have
you
quite a
so
bit of
much.
red over here. There's some red behind
Yes,
me also. That's what I see.
right. So I can hear my voice as well. So I hope it gets all right in due course of time. But let me welcome you formally, Shrutidhara. So thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much for
much.
joining me today. And
Thank you so much for
uh,
calling me.
and I just tried to narrate this story very briefly. I have tried to give whatever I thought that like was enough. But if I said anything incorrect, do correct me.
Absolutely.
But then
There are stories for everybody to read and, like keep it in their mind. So it's absolutely all right.
so I think I one thing that I did not add, and I would really like to add, is that even though this is a story of same-sex relationship or love story of two gay men. I think this story does not talk about the typical the acceptance, the social acceptance, or the social obligations that usually this type of relationships brings along. It talks about two lovers who are in love and who are actually genuinely trying to sort out their issues, and then they figure out that how different both of them are from each other. So I think you want to add something to this.
Absolutely, Ankara. Absolutely. I was just, like I was reiterating what you had said. One of the things that I had in mind when I conceived of the story, which was very abruptly, was that I wanted to establish that same-sex love stories need not be about sex. And that love can
Mhm.
be as complicated in a homosexual relationship as it is in a
Absolutely.
heterosexual relationship. And I think the complexities of love attract me particularly. I'm kind of, very drawn towards such difficult issues.
Mhm.
I know my, viewers at present have, something to say about me and difficulty. I know that's what they are, whispering to themselves. But like for this story also, I really wanted to establish, and this is in fact, a point that I have stressed to some of my readers at times, those who've been a little hesitant and have asked me, as to whether it gets erotic. I've
Mhm.
clarified time and again that that's not the case at all. That it's a love
Mhm.
story, so it is only
Mhm.
that much erotic as as a love story is
Mhm.
expected to be. And
Right.
well, Antara, since we are talking about this, let me be a little candid. These two characters, Sudarshan and Farooq, he's of course
Farooq,
more
yes.
popular as Rookie. That's how
Mhm.
like everyone knows him. Both of them are actually based on two of my friends. So
Okay.
this is an actual relationship that had once taken place, but it had nothing to do with these 23 years of gap and nothing at all. I mean, like neither of them is 23. There's no question of 23 summers passing by. So the rest of it was my business to imagine. But then yes, I
Mhm.
mean,
Mhm.
like I had seen from very close quarters these two friends of mine, these two male friends of mine. And the rest is my wicked imagination, going sort of here, there, everywhere. So that was, like 23 summers, born one summer itself. That was, 2018 summer. And I was at my workplace and classes were over. And well, I've developed a habit of writing stories at my workplace and then doing fiction related work when I'm supposed to be doing something else. So that's a lot of indiscipline, a lot of
I wish
terrible.
my teacher was such. I wish I had such a teacher who is writing stories and like, okay, students, mind your business. Let me write.
Large chunks of my time in at my workplace go in writing. That's these are all secrets,
I
but
know
then
it's
I need
just,
to share
I'm just
secrets
pulling your leg.
secrets.
It's, I know you are a very serious and strict teacher. I'm just
uh,
pulling your leg.
but then who
So
told you
don't.
that that is supposed to be a secret from you? Who told you that?
Mm. Got you there. So
I,
I think there are many people. I'm sure you will also agree. There are many people who say that same-sex relationship or same-sex love stories are very recent stories or recent plots that authors are using. But I think it goes way back during Ismat Chugtai and 1984s, 80s when people were writing and performing plays. So that was my take on it, and I think it's always been there. We just need to uphold it. But then I really want to ask you this, Shruti Dora, that when the entire clan of young writers are writing something conventional, like not willing to take risk in terms of their content, you go ahead and you choose the most sensible topics, two most sensible topics that can be for an Indian. One is the Kashmir, the scenario, the political, the whatever disturbance is going on in Kashmir, and the other one is homosexuality. So I really wanted to ask you, like, what was what went behind your selection of these two topics, and then you go ahead and then you that's a different take, that you intertwine these two topics in such a beautiful way. But then what was the fact that went behind in selection of these two topics for 23 summers?
Um, See, Antara, I'll tell you a couple of quick things here. One is, I have always been an intensely political person. I believe there is no point in being a conscious human being unless there is a politics in your existence. So I've always taken stands. I've always resisted power and abuse of power. I've always spoken against, tyranny and lack of democracy and injustice in the smallest possible ways. Of course, I've been no worldwide crusader, but I've always made it a point, be it at home, be it at my workplace, where, like, democracy has been manifestly absent. So I have been political in everything. So similarly, like Antara, when I started kind of addressing these issues as part of my fiction, I thought it natural because I believe that, literature has a responsibility. I believe that literature cannot just be about, us holding hands and then proposing and then getting married and then having children and then having a breakup. And the book can't simply be about that. I mean, like, that's, of course, there is a lot of writing that is of that kind, which is absolutely fine, and there are readers for it. It's just that I am not that kind. And you used a word a little while ago, which said that, like, I have not gone for something conventional. Antara, I think, that is exactly what follows from my personality, because I'm not a conventional person at all. And this is not something that I have to kind of force myself to do. It's just that in any given situation, my approach towards things is always unconventional. It's always a little removed from, what others would think of it, the way others would react to it. So I do believe that, Kashmir is disputed. And I do believe that the fact that Kashmir is disputed is, there's no point in trying to blame the neighbor about it. It is disputed because of a lot of mistakes that we have made. And I also believe that it's very important for us in fiction and outside fiction, everywhere, to try and, resurrect that that fast drying up liberal space. I really, my heart goes out to the death of liberalism everywhere. I believe that there must be, something beyond left and right. I believe that there has to be a position, where we look at the Kashmir narrative beyond, that cliched, that cliched debate about whether, they are freedom fighters or terrorists. I really think there is so much more to that issue. And I really think that, just as, that is cast in terms of that freedom fighter versus terrorist issue. So also over here, we have this narrative of, how much the Indian state has done for Kashmir versus it's a police state and all it does is to repress the Kashmiri people. So somewhere I believe strongly that we need to create that space for liberalism to speak. And since fiction is such an attractive space for people to, travel into, so I thought, why not through fiction? That's how Kashmir came, and homosexuality came, Antara, because I've had interesting encounters. I've had, slightly amorous men asking me after reading 23 Summers, very hesitantly, unable to make out my marital status, trying to figure out, if they could perhaps, have a date with me. They, asked me things like, are you, like homosexual, by the way? So, kind of, I've given them a further bait by saying, no, I'm strictly heterosexual. But then I've been, exposed to multiple sexualities for a very long time in my life. Doing sexual minorities, a study on them was a part of my PhD work, which was, sort of hundreds of years ago. But then it was there. So, Antara, when I chose these points, there was nothing striking to me at all. Like I chose them very naturally. I didn't feel that I was doing something revolutionary, but honestly, I did not feel that anyone would read it. I had thought that, like the Indian audience would perhaps, open the book and see, oh my God, it's Sudarshan and Farooq. And that too, Farooq is Kashmiri and, like throw the book out of the window. But then, I mean, like 23 Summers became my most read book. So I'm grateful to everybody, including you, the way you keep talking about it. It's very lovely to hear that. So that is
The
it.
two things, no problem at all. I really enjoyed it. And I really want to add two things to what you have said. One is that I believe that authors are equal to actors, like actors wear different multiple hats. It's not necessary that an author has to leave a particular life in order to write it. An author is also similar to an actor. And secondly, I think what your book has done is given a food for thought to the readers, something to take along, so something to ponder upon. It's not exactly like okay, it's an like entertainment kind of a thing. It's like you think about it, like what have I read? So where I am going in terms of my life, my thoughts are. So I think it's really beautiful content and. My only complaint is that it felt it was too short. It like maybe it's a compliment in disguise that the content was the plot was such well developed that readers wanted to read more of it, and so I think that's from myself. Another thing is that I think I really wish that you will be glad that I have noticed it, that usually when a female or a male writer is attempting a character of the different gender or the opposite gender, it always becomes a topic of discussion. And what you have tried to do is you have not only written a character, like a male character, or your lead characters are male, but then they are also homosexual. So I really want to know what extent of research that you had to do, because these are not only the characters are not only complicated in themselves, but then the scenarios, the situations they are going through are also very much complicated. So I understand that yes, you got the idea from your friends, but then is there any other research that you had to get into in order to develop these characters?
Antara, for writing fiction, I mean, particularly this one, or even when I have, like given them another scope, so to say, because like you, everybody say 23 Summers has come to an end. Why so soon? So that's why, I took them along in Where the Sky Feels Cold. I gave them a chance again in the long line of hope. So we'll come to all of that. So what happened is, for writing these pieces specifically, honestly, Antara, I mean, it might sound very kind of, unsophisticated, but I did not have to do much research any more at all. That's precisely because my part of the research on homosexuality was already done. And although I'm not in any way claiming that, I know everything about it, but I know reasonably well for me to be able to sketch characters on that. I am a generally aware person. So, it wasn't very difficult for me to bring that element in. Although, I mean, I'll just kind of repeat what I said earlier, because homosexuality is minimized in that story, in all of the stories,
Right,
in fact. Like there is,
absolutely.
yes, like there's no research that I had to do in order to show specifically how does a
Mm,
homosexual couple, like behave, how do they get
mm,
intimate,
mm,
nothing of that kind. So, so I really didn't have to kind of torture myself with any research. It was absolutely fine. So also was Kashmir, the parts that I wrote,
mm,
which were specifically Kashmir's politics centric, were
mm.
parts which I knew just in any case. I mean, I didn't have to study Kashmir separately in order to do this. So I had more or less a peaceful, time writing. This happy.
And if I may ask, how long did it take for you to write, complete the draft, the final draft?
For this one, 23 Summers.
Mm, mm, mm,
It
yes.
took me. it took me, I think, 4 to 5 days. And
Wow.
Antara is, yes, like I've got a very peculiar writing habit. I
Hmm.
generally don't begin from the beginning. So it was,
Okay.
like, yeah, I mean, like if I get back to that embarrassing past reference that I gave about, me writing fiction merrily at my workplace, then it comes to this that, it was probably 4 or 5 afternoons in my college when no one was around, no one to interrupt me, no one to, burden me with a completely unnecessary piece of work. So it was just, those 4 or 5 afternoons where I sat down, and I mean, the only time that I needed was to stitch it together, precisely because I did not begin from what the first sentence of the story is. So I began
Hmm.
from somewhere. Then I discovered that I need something before it, and I need something after it. And then I, spent some time around looking for a title, which initially was something like, just another love story, or 23 years of love, something of that kind. So, but then after 4 or 5 days, like it was ready, more or less. It was ready, and it went out to I'm very fortunate to have a, select group of people who are very critical, thankfully, to whom, my manuscripts always go. So, like this one then went to them, please read, see what is it, what has it come to. So that was it. That was more or
That's
less.
really great. And I think you have a very good publisher as well. Yuto, I hope I'm pronouncing them correctly. And I
Absolutely.
think they are also a bunch of really great people to work with. And
Very. They're
I think
professional, they're flexible, they're responsive, they're sensible, and they do not have the high-handedness that's typical of, these big publishing houses, where you feel like a, criminal who has escaped from behind the bars if you're trying to submit a manuscript to them. So
yes,
I'm sure I'm never going to be published by any of them, if they happen to
yes,
listen to this, but then
Yuki
I'm also
Yoto.
sure that they will not pay any attention to me and this interview. So, like I'm happy that way. I'll just, pretend I'm innocent when I approach them next with a manuscript.
Yeah, right. So I
Yes.
think let me try pronouncing the names once again
Sure.
correctly. It's Yuki Yoto publishers, and like three cheers for them. Like they are really
Absolutely.
great,
I'm
and
great
I
friends
think
with
that's
them now, which is a good thing.
absolutely. And I think it's very important to have that relationship, because I have repeatedly used this sentence over and over again. And I think finding the right publishers is almost like finding the right match, right spouse. And I think it's really a luck that brings a good publisher around.
Very much.
So
Very
yes,
much.
so kudos to you, Yuki Yoto. I hope I pronounced the name correctly.
Don't worry.
So let's talk about the sequel to 23 Summers is also published. I think it was published in April 2020, where the sky gets cold or feels cold. I'm sorry, I'm getting the okay.
It's all right. It's all right.
All right. So tell me, what is the sequel all about? Where does it start? What does it bring to the readers?
I'll just, like correct, like one small part over here, Antara. Where the
Yes.
sky feels cold is not technically speaking a sequel, because
Okay.
my idea is like this, that see, 23 Summers brings, these two lovers to
Hmm,
their
hmm,
early 40s, right?
hmm,
So a
hmm,
sequel
hmm.
would have to, in that sense, begin from a time when, like they are in their mid
After,
40s,
afterwards.
right?
Right. Hmm.
Like Where the Sky Feels Cold takes them back to university. Okay, so it's not a sequel,
Okay.
but as you said, and as I, reacted to it, because so many persons believe that, there is so much more potential to that relationship, and Sudarshan and Ruki should not be exhausted, with 123 summers.
Hmm,
That is why
hmm,
I
hmm.
just wanted to create another story around those same characters. So, I mean, like you have the same set, you have the same framework, the same paradigm, but it is not not a sequel technically speaking, because they begin from their university years again, and this time in Where the
Maybe
Sky
a,
Falls, yes.
a different snippet from their life, a different snippet, a piece of their life which talks
Yes.
about a different timeline, maybe, where they are meeting together. Okay, all right, got it.
Very
So
much so.
thanks for correcting me.
No, no, absolutely all right.
And
Not just you, it's like it's very naturally. All my
hmm,
readers had thought that, Where the Sky Feels Cold is a sequel to 23
hmm,
Summers. So I had to,
hmm, hmm.
tell everybody that this is not technically speaking a sequel, but if you love
Hmm,
them there, hopefully you will love
hmm.
them here more because we've got two female characters here as well with them because this
Okay.
becomes expanded into a novella. And
Hmm,
this one, in fact, is, like even more thoroughly political than what where this where
hmm,
23 Summers was, because Where the
hmm,
Sky Feels Cold has as its context the winter of discontent, the winter of unrest, so to say, which was
hmm,
last winter, which was
hmm,
2019 winter.
hmm,
That's what I'm
hmm,
referring to, and it was completely, that context of a particular legislation being enacted by the Indian Parliament, and
right,
the
right.
whole politics behind it, and what it did to a large section of the population. So the story is completely set therein without in any way pretending to, not address it directly. So Where the Sky Feels Cold is very political, and I'm happy about it. I mean, like, I am happy that it is essentially a story which is set in that very specific context of India's politics. So it's Sudarshan and Rukhi once again, but in a completely
In
different
a
way.
different. Okay, all right,
Right.
got it.
So,
So again, it has been published by Yuki Ito, and I
yes.
got it right first go. Okay, and would you like to read anything for us? Some of your favorite lines, maybe, or anything?
Yeah, sure. Antara, I was just thinking since 23 Summers has been read by so many already. So
Hmm,
could I
hmm,
read
hmm.
something from my last, my latest single title? Can I read
Yes,
something from
yes,
my
yes,
last gift?
yes,
I think that's
absolutely.
relatively less read. So probably,
Hmm,
this would be more new. Um, what I'll do is I'll read out. And Antara, if I, if I cross the time that I should be using for this, then you can just stop me, okay? Because I'm not, and I don't have a watch over here. Okay. Now, what I think I'll do is this is of course going to come the reverse way. Yes,
okay,
the last
okay,
gift. Yes, right.
okay.
But it is the cover which people have absolutely loved, and I am obsessed about it. So I did not lose an opportunity to show it. And I'll read
Can
out
we
what
see
is
it
chapter.
one more again? Can we see it
But
one
then
more
you
again?
will see it only in a reverse
Okay,
way. So it's
okay,
a
no
window,
problem.
it's the sea, and it's the Sarod.
Okay, all
So
right, great.
and I'll read out a little part of chapter one, which
Hmm,
let me just briefly kind of explain. Although this is chapter one, number one, there is a prologue before it. So it's not
hmm,
that the story exactly starts from here. Number two, which I think is a little more, kind of problematic, is the fact that this is a novella that I wrote very deliberately, which defies the normal chronology of a fiction. I mean, I did that on purpose. So
okay.
it's a completely postmodernist story being told. I
Hmm,
bring in my disciplinary training into this because because I'm a student of political science. So postmodernism is something that I study,
hmm,
and
hmm,
this is written completely in that style where like chapter one need not be chapter one. So like
hmm,
it sounds weird, but I think
hmm,
anyone who knows a little bit of postmodernism will probably understand what I'm trying to say. I of course said
hmm.
it very badly in a hurry, but that's what like I meant. So chalo, theek hai, I'll
Okay.
just read out a quick portion.
Yes, please. Sure.
As I sit down now and propose to write out our story, I realize it is not our story at all. It is a story set in a quaint little seaside town between two persons, neither of whom appears real to me anymore. When I look closely, I do not seem to be either of them. I do not even think I know either of them. Thus, the story that I sit down to write is a story that is unknown to me. It has been written out by someone else at some place else and presented before me as a story that I may read, but certainly may not control or manipulate, let alone narrate. The narrative is attractive, but alien to me, intimately detailed, yet archived, and hence unsuitable for personalized reading. It lies like an open public space, spread out, expanding, going into different directions, merging with other passages, sometimes constricted, sometimes wide. It belongs to anyone who steps in, with or without a sense of purpose, like a hotel lobby, home at once, to the focused as well as to the casual and the passing guest. As I sit now on a backless side seat and begin to observe with my aged and myopic vision our story being enacted in front of me in that space, I find the actors autonomous and free-willed. They pass by from in front of my eyes as images, as copies whose real sources have been lost over time. The actors themselves have come to hold the copyright to our story, and it is their reading of it that I must go by. Once or twice I try to stop them and tell them, but no, that's not how it was. I'm sure he didn't mean it that way. They pause, look at me a little cross, and then, turning their faces away, resume their narration in a few seconds. In the process, I lose my narrative yet again. Do I continue, Antara?
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's
Okay.
beautiful. I'm
Okay.
just I can see the entire scene in front of me.
Okay, then I'll just finish when this paragraph comes to an end, which is, maybe
Yes,
two
yes,
minutes.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'll repeat that last sentence. In the process, I lose my narrative yet again. At other times, very rarely though, a few of them care to take a look at me, their eyes gleaming with the coldness of sympathy. I shiver as my eyes meet theirs, and they ask, so, what did you two do thereafter? Tell us clearly. I move my tongue inside my mouth, trying to speak, and realize that my mouth has extended like a long funnel and has gone downwards to the seaside, from where a gust of strong, sandy wind rushes into my throat, and the coarse sand particles coat my tongue. I am unable to reply to them. They too have no patience to wait for long. They move away and continue their narration of what I thought was our story. I look around to feebly protest. I see you instead, your hair all tossed up in the wind, your t-shirt unevenly placed on your shoulders, one side pulled right up to your neck, the other slanting and away, with a hint of your collarbone showing. Your broad chest looks like the underwater rock covered with moss and herbs, the rock that I've never seen. Your eyes are calm as always. Let them be, you tell me with your eyes. Let them be and write the story that they want. Not all love becomes a story. Maybe ours isn't meant to be one. It makes no difference. Even then, if you still want one, work hard for it. Strive further. Keep trying. Tear down the narrative that you have built up till now. Start afresh. Put one brick at a time. Pause. Step back. Take that brick down. Alter its sides. Place it again. When one brick alone will look like a completed piece of art, balanced, perfect, consummated, you will know ours has become a story. Work hard till then. That is a part of chapter one. Antara.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm
Thank you.
sure I'm sure the viewers who are watching us right now, they have also enjoyed because I can see, I'm sure you are also seeing all the likes that's going on. So yes,
Yes.
absolutely
I,
stunning.
I haven't seen them all, but well, I can kind of imagine. I
So,
can understand.
so I think there are few comments that are being sent out. So let me take a moment and read out some of the comments for you. Mm, and there were quite a few comments that we have been receiving. So I'll just start from the beginning.
Sure. Okay, I've seen Jai Prakash's comment, which I think is just now. Prerna, Shivangi.
So there's someone who is saying love stories don't need to be erotic. I think this person might have shared it when you were talking about the that it's not erotic, it's only love and that much as it's required. And there is DGH Pal 7. She is also an excellent lecturer, a person who knows her subject beyond one expects. She is
Thanks,
extraordinary.
Patrick.
So, that's a fan. And
Thanks, Gulzar.
there's lots of love coming
And I think
across.
we had Manali in the beginning. That was a time when I noticed we had Manali Desai, like joining in for a while in the
Okay,
beginning.
okay, okay.
So
All right.
thanks, Satantika. Saturn, thanks.
And then it's Anmol, not Anmol. She's saying it was beautiful, ma'am. I'm sure it's about your reading. Great, ma'am. Beautiful. That is Atufa, Nishat, and amazing, ma'am. Doita. Truly moving. Satantika. Okay, all right. So that's a lot of your fans or your students or your friends who are actually blown away.
Yeah, Manali is
So
still there. She's just letting us know she's
okay,
there. Hello,
okay, okay.
Manali.
Great, great.
So
I really
happy that you
hope
were here.
you guys are liking our discussion. Ma'am has always been something. Okay, all right. Hold on. Let me read. Ma'am has always been an amazing narrator, a preacher of reality with rhetorics. Love her stories. Yay. So that's another one.
Thanks,
So
thanks, Manali.
I actually, I would like to take this opportunity since we have taken a break, and inform everyone that 23 Summers is also available on our online bookstore, that is www.mysecretbookshelf.co.in. So if you visit our online bookstore, you'll be able to find signed copies of 23 Summers, and we are also giving out discounts. So if you go through our storyboard on Instagram, you'll see a 20% discount coupon. So use that while checking out, and voila, you have a discount copy. So, so don't forget to check out our website. And coming back to the session, Shrutidhara, you have written 6 books. Am I correct? Am I wrong? Or there are more?
Single titles are 7.
Okay, all right, great. So we have spoken about 2 books. You have read from a third one. Tell me more about your other books that are already published, that are out
Okay.
there.
Okay, I'll be very quick with this. And
Yes.
I think in the process, I'll also be answering what is probably one of your questions because I've heard that being asked a many number of times. So I'm sure you would also want to know, why this pen name, why a pen name at all.
Yes.
So, yes.
Yes.
So I'll just, like cover it together. And as always, I'll be very politically incorrect. I'm good at that.
Okay.
So I'll just be that way. Yes. So, uh,
Great.
yeah. So see, when I wrote my first novel, The Unknown Script,
Hmm.
which was many years ago, and I wrote that over many years, and I never thought it would be published. But then, like dreams kind of start becoming, like big in size. And so when it was published, then I had 2 immediate concerns. One was I genuinely wanted a parallel identity to my professional identity. So I did not want, like Prathama Rai Chaudhuri to be the name for fiction as well. So I used the P from Prathama, and like Shruti Dhara was one of the considered names for me when I was born, so I
Okay.
took that.
Okay.
Mohor is my pen name, like
Okay.
on one side of the family. So I kind of made that all up, and then I
Combined.
started
Okay.
liking my pen name. So that's how it came. Uh, the other concern that I had, the second concern that I had was that because the unknown script is let's say semi autobiographical, and it deals with issues that at that point of time could have landed me in difficulties had my real name been used. So
Hmm.
that was a major reason why I needed a pen name. But then, I mean, like, that's how I think things change. Later, when I didn't need a pen name for that purpose anymore. I still, I came to love that pen name and the entire identity that had grown up around it. So that way, that was it. So the unknown script it's basically, it's about the journey of a young woman, of a young professional woman at her workplace, the kind of, encounters she has, the way she grows up, her innumerable relationships, and how she finally, kind of meets one person who changes her life, not in a romantic way at all, in a completely non-romantic way. So that was the unknown script, and it's a somewhat voluminous novel, which is what like puts off readers. It's also, of course, a less mature work than what I've done later, which is very natural.
Okay.
But then, I think even then it has certain attractive points about it. So I still, like feel very sort of fondly about that book. That was it. Okay, then that was 23 Summers. Then, which came close to 23 Summers was this one, Zero of Zero, showing results,
Okay.
Zero of Zero. Now, this was...
It's a very interesting title.
Yes, and this was, like I was quite amazed when I wrote this, because I had no such plan of writing this kind of a story at all. It is, in a way, a dystopian story, and it's futuristic. It is set in, let's say, in 2049, 2050 India. And it is commonly mistakenly thought to be a science fiction. There is no science in it at all. It's a very real human story.
Right. It's a futuristic fiction.
Yes, this is about a very reclusive man, and what leads him to disengage from this world, and what happens thereafter. I mean, how he probably creates a situation which is, so different from the virtual existences that mankind has by and large now. It is completely that kind of a story. And as I said, I was very surprised when I finished writing it, because most of the times I don't have any idea of what I'm doing. So when the story comes to an end, then I discover, and I was very surprised when I discovered, Zero of Zero coming to this. So that was it. Okay, then that takes us to what is technically the sequel to 23 Summers, which is The Long Line of Hope. The Long Line of Hope, yes, The Long Line of Hope is my first writing, which is based completely in Kashmir, and except for Sudarshan's character, everyone else is a Kashmiri. So that is what's very special about that book. And it has 4 snippets of stories knit together, woven together into one story, whose essential message is how hope survives above everything. So that is what The Long Line of Hope is. Right. And so that leaves us with what? That leaves us with, Where the Sky Feels Cold. I think, I kind of spoke about it.
We have already, yes.
That's done. And that was the last gift from which I read out, which is also something that I talked about. The other thing, the other single title, the last one to mention is a nice one. It's a very different one, because this is what has been made into a graphic novel by my publisher. This was actually a story that I had written, and then it was selected as like one of the 2 best stories and all that. And thereafter, therefore, there was some reorientation of the story, and it got transformed into a graphic novel. So we had an artist doing the pictures, and I had some editing to do with the writing, which I cut down into more let's say straightforward pieces. And so that's also it's called Nefeli and Us, and it is it's called Nefeli and Us, a story of love from the past. And it's a story that's based on the Greek city-states. So, it goes back thousands of years. And don't ask me from where I get these weird ideas. I don't have an idea. I get them from somewhere. So, so that is, I think, like I've covered in good time, quickly, all my single titles and told you.
I'm so amazed that all this vast range of genres that you have covered, like futuristic fiction, and then there is this past fiction, and then so many other things that you are writing about. Is there any particular genre that you plan to explore in the future that you might
Uh,
not have written upon as of yet?
no, Antara, I think I'll stick to more or less what I essentially do is literary fiction with
Hmm,
some bits of romance in it,
hmm,
uh, quite some politics in it. So I think I'll more or less, my preferences seem to be that way. So I think I'll like keep to that. And
hmm,
there are just one or two things that I neither have tried nor do I plan to try as such.
hmm, hmm,
That's, like horror, that's erotica, and I think that's
hmm.
also probably pure comedy. I mean, like there is some comic in what I write, but it's not exactly comic in that sense. It's more of a kind of a fine humor. So I don't think I'll be doing horror or comedy or like erotica as such.
Erotic.
Ever. That's
Okay,
I
all
mean
right.
it's just because that's not my style. So that's about it. So.
Right, great. So thank you for sharing, and you have already answered my, the burning question that I had inside me, that why use a
That's
person
what you must
name.
explain
You
very clearly. But
so
I think,
I think
many many those who are viewing this, they also wanted to know. So I think that was, like kind of a collective question, and I answered everyone by explaining what my name stands for. So,
and actually I did not know, but then when I was going through that blog, the blog interview of yours, and finally I came to that part where it was mentioned that it's a pen name. I was like, wow, this is so interesting, and I have to ask what went behind it. So thank you for sharing all these insight stories of yours, of your writing life with us. I think it's time to wrap up the session, but then there is one last question that I would really like to ask you, is if there is anything that you are working on right now which is about to get published, any sneak peek that you would like to share with me, with your
sure,
viewers.
I would love to talk about it. There are two things which are happening right now, and they're happening far more slowly than they ought to happen. So I need
Hmm.
to, kind of concentrate and start writing fast. One is it's an historical fiction.
Okay.
It takes us to medieval India, and this is going
Okay.
to be a very interesting collaborative project where it's me along with a team of young people. So
Okay.
yes, so like it is also, this is also Kyoto. I mean, like everything that I've been doing
Okay.
is with them. So I
Uh-huh.
would precisely because this is a collaborative project involving so many of us. So I would not talk any more about it at the moment.
Hmm.
Keep it to
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
The second one that I'm working on alone, single, as a single title at the moment, is one where um, well, I guess, I would probably be continuing forward that narrative style of The Last Gift, from which I read out and which I was
Okay,
referring
okay,
to as a
yes, yes.
postmodernist writing.
Hmm.
Yes, because that postmodernist exploration remains incomplete, and I'd like to do more about it. So
Hmm.
this time, like I am trying to, because see, The Last Gift was about two authors.
Okay.
So, yes, so this time I'm planning to do something with, one author and one reader. And
Hmm.
I am challenging myself to see, to what extent I can make that equation weird. So I am a very weird person, like whoever knows me outside Instagram knows for sure. So I'm just, trying to give full flow to my weirdness when I begin work on that novella. This novella also has a bit of a, let's say, plan in the near future coming about. So I hope that, my secret bookshelf will have me sometime again soon when we'll
Yes,
be able
of
to talk
course.
about, yes, when we'll be able to talk about, those two books, both the collaborative work and the single title, both of them out. We are expecting all that to be done by, say, March. So,
Hmm.
like maybe
Hmm.
April onwards, I'll start thinking of newer works. So that's more or
And
less what I have in my mind.
absolutely. And
Thank
time
you.
flies like anything. So March is like just around the corner. So
Yes,
we
I
do not
wish it
have
would
to.
be so because I'm the one who'll have to do the writing.
Yes, you better get to work then. We do not want to wait any longer. Actually,
Yes,
it sounds so interesting, and to be very honest, readers always end up having a crush on the authors, on the writers, and it's a
yes.
very romantic relationship. So I can't even tell you how many authors I have crushed on, and so so
I
I
hope that
think I
includes
really want
me.
to.
I hope it
Yes, of
includes
course.
me.
Yeah, now onwards. So
Thank
why?
you.
So I really look forward to the weird story between the author and the reader, and so
I'll
much
let you know.
so.
Once the weird story is out, I'll let you know.
Absolute. I'll get the notification. So
Yes,
uh,
from Kyoto also they'll and then you'll have to judge,
hopefully, yes.
how weird a book does it have to be for me to keep it on my online bookstore. So
Wow. I'll be honored to have it on the online
thank
bookstore.
you so much.
And
Thank you.
we are also running out of time, and it's like time flies. Even last week, there was a very great session I had with
Yes,
one of the authors,
make it was
and right. And today also, this was such a great session. I enjoyed thoroughly, and
thank
all my best wishes to you, to your upcoming books, to your existing books, to 23 Summers. And I'm so glad that I'm associated with this title with you, with Yuki Yoto. I hope I got it correct. Oh my God.
don't worry.
So they should get a shorter name. Okay. And
You can just
and
call them Yuki maybe.
Yu, Yuki Yoto. I'm very bad with words, and I really hope that I have been able to articulate all my thoughts and made you understand what I'm trying to
Definitely.
express.
Very clearly.
So, okay, great. So it was lovely talking to you, Shrutidara, and
It
take
was
care.
very lovely for me also, with all my nervousness, phone this way, laptop that way, this, that, everything. Then when the session happens, I'm very happy.
Yes, yes, it went perfectly all right, and we are going to use this video on our IGTV as well as on YouTube channels. I'll share the links with you as well. And
Yes.
I'll also
Sure.
share
I'll bombard you with questions, this, how do I make this work? How do I send this to somebody? I'll keep asking.
yes, yes, absolutely, no worries at all. And I'll also share about all the books that we have talked about, all your written work on our storyboard, so that if anyone is interested to go through, they'll have a reckoner around. So thank you so much. Have a lovely Sunday ahead, and take care, Shrutidhara.
Thank you, Antara. This was wonderful. Thank you so much. You've been such a good host. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Chalo, bye. Take care. See you again.
You too. So we just talked to Shruti Thora P. Mohor, who is the author of 23 Summers, and 23 Summers is available on our online bookstore. So do visit our online bookstore. It's www.mysecretbookshelf.co.in. We are actually giving out discounts on top of the already existing discounted prices. So go through our storyboard on Instagram, and you will see the codes, the discount coupons mentioned somewhere. Use them while checking out, and voila. Also, quick information about our online bookstore. We only list Indian authors because we are trying to promote Indian authors, only those selective titles that we believe in. So, yes, all the more reason for you to support us. Thank you. Have a lovely week and happy reading. Bye. Take